Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Cooking Up Claire, my cooking show that will hopefully help you brush up in the kitchen, allow me to grow my cooking skills, and give us a community to learn from each other. Now, as I'm sure you can tell, we are trying something a little bit different and recording my voice as I cook. I know, groundbreaking. But we thought it'd be a fun experiment to try, and we really want to know what you think. So if you have any thoughts or ideas, leave them in the comments below. Today we are making an awesome recipe that is super easy and great for basically any day after work when you're busy, or honestly, even if you're having like a guest over. We're making my Foolproof salmon. It's really great because once you get the basics down, you can pretty much do whatever you want with it. Whether you want it a little sweet, a little savory, if you want to add breadcrumbs, if you want to put chips on it. Whatever you're feeling like, you really can do it with just the basics that I'm gonna walk you through today. So first I'm gonna do one that's a little more traditional with an herb butter, something that you would probably expect to see at a restaurant. And then I'm gonna do one with a little bit more of like an Asian glaze situation. It's gonna be really sweet and it's gonna caramelize on top and get a little bit crunchy. It's delicious. But like I said, you can do it with just about anything. One of my favorite ways to do it is with my homemade pesto recipe, which you can see right here. Let me go get the salmon. This salmon is Atlantic, and I've cut it into about 8-ounce fillets. This is a really good size because you get a whole lot of meat with it, and it cooks pretty evenly, so you can get it a really nice medium cook in the middle. If you overcook your salmon, you're gonna get that really dry taste that you probably had before and said, I don't like salmon. You don't dislike salmon, you just had it cooked wrong. And if you have it cooked under, you can always throw it in for a little bit longer. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm going to skin the bottom of the salmon just because I'm personally not a fan of the skin. And also the way that this is cooking it isn't gonna crisp it up in any way, so you're not really gonna get very much out of it. So what I'm gonna do first is grab a knife. We have new ones coming in the registry, wink wink to all of our friends. And we are going to flip this salmon over. And we are going to start just on the end here and just get right underneath it. From here, you can kind of lift it. It'll come right off, and you just want to slide that knife right along it. You don't want to dig too far in or else you're going to lose some salmon, which isn't fun. When you're picking a cut of salmon, you want to find something that has a decent amount of thickness to it. Otherwise, you're going to end up with, like I said, something a little bit drier, which just isn't going to taste as good. I like to keep an eye out for something like this, which is probably about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. That way you can make sure whenever it's cooked, it's a little bit rare right in the middle, and then it's cooked all the way on the outside, and that residual warmth will get it cooked all the way through, and it'll be so good. So now that I have skinned this, I'm going to ditch the skin, not good for just on its own, and be right back. Now I'm gonna work on the 2 different toppings that's gonna go on our salmon. So first I'm gonna make the Asian glaze. This is super simple. I kind of just threw a few ingredients together. Like I said, the formal recipe is in the link below. For this, I'm gonna be combining a little bit of honey, a little bit of soy sauce, a teeny tiny bit of sesame oil, and then kind of a few different spices that I found lying around that sounded really good together. I've got some black sesame seeds, I've got some red chili flakes, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. But like I said, feel free to add whatever you want. I'm also going to be using one of my favorite little tricks, which is grating fresh garlic into it. That way you get really teeny tiny chunks that kind of dissolve into the mixture, but you definitely get a lot of that really good garlicky flavor. So first what I'm gonna add is about a tablespoon's worth of honey. And this you really are going to love because it's going to basically add this really good caramelization on the top of the salmon once it's all cooked. You wanna make sure you get all of that. It's worth it. Next, I'm gonna throw in about a 1/2 tablespoon worth of soy sauce. Next, I'm gonna add about, I think this is about 1/4 teaspoon of sesame oil. Like I said, you wanna be really, really light with this because it will completely overpower anything you put it on if you give too much. And then the next thing I'm gonna add is this mix of dry ingredients that I have. Like I said, it's a little bit of black sesame seed, a little bit of red chili flakes, some salt, some pepper, but you can add pretty much anything that sounds good to you. I'm gonna go ahead and give that a whisk because it can be a little bit hard to combine the garlic that's coming up with all these different ingredients if they aren't brought in together at this point. a little whisk. All right. And then the very last thing I'm going to add is a clove of garlic, and I'm gonna take just a microplane. You can use basically anything that you would use to zest a lemon, and run just the full clove right over it into the dish. So let's get all of that in there. Set this to the side, give it a nice little mix. And as you can see, you have something that's a little thick, a little chunky, and a whole lot of flavor. Now I'm gonna set this aside and kind of let it marinate, get to know each other, talk to each other, and I'm gonna talk to you about this delicious butter that I have sitting over here. Now, this is actually from the brand Kerrygold. They actually make a butter that's got a lot of really good herbs in it already built in. It's got some garlic, I think there's some dill, seems like there's a little bit of parsley. There's just kind of a lot of good stuff in there. But if you don't want to pay to have all of this already mixed in, you actually could make your own compote butter, which basically all you're gonna need to do is take some really good unsalted butter, add whatever herbs you have that you feel really interested in. I definitely prefer some fresh herbs. I'm really into a lot of basil, a lot of rosemary, a few different things. You want to add that, add some garlic, a little salt. I usually throw in some pepper, and then just roll it all up together and put it in the fridge until you're ready to use it. It's delicious, it's easy, it's cheap, and it just really elevates almost anything you're cooking. All right, so I'm gonna move our salmon over here. And I'm going to start with the glaze. So I have a handy dandy, very fancy brush, but you can use a spoon even and just make sure that it's all spread out with the back. I'm gonna ditch this guy, and I'm gonna take my handy dandy brush, and I'm just gonna brush it right over the salmon. The reason I like to use a brush as opposed to a spoon when I have the option is I feel like it just gets more stuck to the salmon. I feel like it helps make sure that it's really on there and it's not just kind of glooping onto the side like I feel like it kind of can. This will make sure that the crust is really good, really sweet and caramelized, and it's really on that salmon. That guy seems very covered, so now I will jump over to the butter version. And this, you're gonna be like, Claire, you gotta be lying. That's too easy. But surprise, it is that easy. So all I'm really gonna do is I'm gonna take a knife and I'm gonna take some softened butter. You basically just wanna leave it out for maybe like, I don't know, 15, 30 minutes, just so that it gets soft enough to be cuttable. I'm gonna go in, I'm just gonna take a few cuts of this butter and I'm just gonna put it directly on the salmon. I told you, it's really that easy. And you can do this with any sort of butter. You can do it with just plain butter. You can do it with healthy butter. I don't know if you're into that. You can do it with really anything that you set your mind to. I believe in you. Try something new. Do something different. I don't know. You do you, girl. You got it. You really will be shocked at how easy this is and how good it turns out. So basically, you're done with the prepping portion of this. All you're gonna wanna do now is turn your oven onto high broil. This is the key right here. If you put it on low broil, it'll put the bottom heater on as high as it can, and you're gonna get kind of a weird cook from it. If you put it on high broil, it'll start it from the top of your oven and cook down, which will get you that really nice, really tasty kind of caramelization that you're looking for. I'm gonna throw these guys in for about 12 to 13 minutes. That, for me, with my oven, has been standard for this size of a cut, but yours may be a little bit different. If it seems like it's a little bit undercooked, give it some more time. You may have had a bigger cut, your oven may be cooler, there's a lot of different factors. You'll learn what works best for you. But for me, about 12 minutes will get me exactly where I wanna be, and it should for you too. So I'll be right back. Okay. So these guys just came out of the oven and they are looking perfect. Basically what we're looking at is a lot of the honey really caramelized around the edges of this glazed one. And then the butter one, you can see all the butter that's kind of soaked in and off of it. And you're left with these great herbs and a really, really good flavor. So I'm gonna grab a spatula and I'm gonna serve them up next to this broccoli that I cooked from earlier today, and I'm gonna have a wonderful dinner. I'm gonna go in for this glazed one. It's kind of a favorite of mine personally. And you're gonna wanna just slide that right under. As you can see, it is super flaky. It's not super overcooked in the middle, and you can see this really, really beautiful caramelization on the top. All of that garlic is really well cooked and it soaked up all that flavor, and it was so small that you aren't really gonna get any big bites of it. So I'm gonna throw that guy on my plate and enjoy. The thing that I really, really love about this recipe is that it leaves the salmon so flaky, and it really has just enough time to cook down that fat and get those really nice fluffy layers in without getting the meat super cooked and super tough. It's really great because, let me finish. It's really, really great because that honey that's in there caramelizes so well, and it gives all the other ingredients a chance to really cook down, get a little bit sweet, a little bit savory, a little salty. It kind of gives you that like umami flavor that everyone talks about, and it leaves it so flaky, so tender, so delicious. It really is so delicious and so easy. The trick is that broiler. I think if you cook it any other way, you're not gonna get that really quick, hot heat and that really good flavor from it. If you give this a try, which I really, really hope you do, definitely leave me a comment below or make sure to tag me on social media at Cooking Up Claire. This recipe is so easy and so delicious, and I know you are gonna love it too. If you give it a try, don't forget to leave a comment below and make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you get the notification for all my videos. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time on Cooking Up Claire. I'm done.
That hurt.